Hello, everybody. I think I know everybody in the audience. Everybody in the audience know me, but just for the recording's sake, I am Shri Gupta. I live in Florida in a town called St. Petersburg, very near a town called Tampa. And I'm an engineer, retired engineer, but I dabble in these alternative techniques. And I learned about the dowsing, and there was really sort of an accident. I have this, what is called a Spooky 2 Rife machine, and that works on frequencies. It has millions of frequencies in it. But which frequencies are good for you? How do you know that? So people have suggested that dowsing is the right way to find out that which frequencies are good for your body. So I said, let me learn some dowsing, and I found out there was a dowsing conference going on, a convention in upstate New York. And they have what is called a foundations or basic dowsing course. So I went there to learn it. And that's the reason this meeting, just going to share my experience, my learning with you all. But before I do that, I'm going to show you a little pendulum. Helen, maybe you can pin me so it'll be easier for recording. So nobody else will show up in the recording. So here, I'll show you a pendulum. This pendulum is associated with dowsing, and I'll explain that association. And it's a very simple device. You see, there's a string here, and there's a little object at the bottom. It can be any object. So in fact, I made another one here. And if you have any time, so you just take a piece of string. There's a piece of string or a thread of some kind, and attach something here. So here it look like a keychain. I have a little ring, or it could just be a keychain, or you could have a nut or a bolt or whatever, a stone, something which has a hole. You can just tie to it, and you can make a pendulum out of this, which swings. So this is one of the basic tools in dowsing. So while you're waiting, if you have access to any of these kind of things, just try to make a pendulum, and you can have an exercise later on. You can play with it. So now let me just go and share my slides. I will share my screen and then my slide, and these slides have a summary of what I learned in this convention. So let me go into the presentation mode. It'll look much easier to read. So this was held in upstate New York, this convention. The reason I went there was before the convention started, for 2 days, they had what is called a foundations or a beginner's workshop, where people who have no knowledge like myself can come and get exposed to what is dowsing and how does it work. And I'll share that with you. Another thing I just want to say is, if anybody has any questions, please put it in the chat box, and I'll see whether I can answer it while I am going through the presentation. Otherwise, we can have a discussion right at the end. So this all kind of medical disclaimer, that's what they did. We are not going to give you any treatment here, or this is not a health advice. So this is the location where this was held. It was about an hour drive from Albany, which is the capital of state of New York, north of it. And Helen, she was good enough, Helen and Jim, they were good enough to give me a ride to this place. And that was the first time I could meet them. So it's a beautiful campus, a small campus, and that is where they held the convention. And in fact, there is a dormitory, the rooms, and we could stay in it. So I stayed in the dorm. It was easy to go back and forth. It was quite a busy 5 days, from early morning to late in the evening. We would have something or the other going on. Very, very interesting. So let me just start with dowsing, right? So that's the first question. What is dowsing? So traditionally, dowsing has been associated with locating water. So if you want to dig a well somewhere, you want to know exactly where you'll find water before you dig the well, because otherwise you can spend a whole lot of time, money, and effort to dig and don't get a water. Or if you get a water, you get so deep, like 1,000 feet deep. It's not worth it, right? And also, people locate lost objects. You lose a ring, you lose your eyeglasses, your car key, you misplaced it. Dowsing is a good way to locate them. And people have even located treasures, buried treasures. So in short, what dowsing does is it expands your ability beyond your 3D. So right now, our mind just looks around and whatever it perceives, that's all it knows. So with dowsing, you expand your horizon. You can find out what your senses do not perceive directly. That's what essentially dowsing is today. And I didn't know that. It's very, very popular everywhere. All countries, they are dowsers. So history of dowsing, and looks like it has been there forever. So if you look at any ancient texts in the old civilizations, and you'll find reference to dowsing of different kinds. And if you look at the history of the Western dowsing, it was seriously started around the 1500s with the mining. The miners had to go underground, and you had to find where you can have blockages there, etc. A lot of things, and they used dowsing to work that out. The other question that people have asked, and of course I asked myself before I went to the conference, can anyone dowse? The answer really is dowsing is a natural, a normal human faculty, which really means, yes, most of people can learn to get. So when you use a pendulum, you get what is called a dowsing response, right? And we'll go through it. So in this convention, there were over 100 people, I think about 120 and 30 people. And everybody, I didn't see anybody who said, oh, my dowsing is not working. So, and of course, that's normal in any training or any education. Some learn quicker and some take a little bit more time. So the next question, how does the dowsing work? And it is amazing. So as I said earlier, so dowsing provides a knowledge beyond what we experience around us directly with the senses. And the way it works, so each one of us has what is called an aura. So there's energy around our body. And in general, they say there's 7 layers of aura. So you have the first level, which will be maybe a few inches from your body, which is the general aura, that there are people who can see this aura. But there's other layers. The deepest layer of the aura, your energy, is throughout the whole universe. So what that really means is we are all connected with the whole universe. We are all one. We are all united into the one. So that means the knowledge beyond our senses is all within us. We just have to practice to bring it up to our conscious mind. So we have our subconscious, which knows everything deep inside. And the trick is, how do we get that thing, that knowledge which is beyond the senses, to come to us through a little device? So it is amazing, and if you look at it, people who know, this is like a non-duality or the Advaita in Vedanta, in the Indian scriptures. So what really in dowsing happens is you ask a question. So I take this pendulum, and I ask the pendulum a question. Can I dig the well at this point? Right? And the pendulum will respond. So really, pendulum has no power in itself. Pendulum doesn't do anything. It is my subconscious.
Hello, will there be any help today, or will you talk to each other? Hello, will there be any help today, or will you talk to each other?
Well, there's something going on. I don't know. Somebody, please keep yourself in mute. So this pendulum, so my subconscious picks up the answer, and I'm sure everybody has had goosebumps sometimes. So that's the body's response. So there's micro changes in the body, in my body. So if I am using a pendulum, I'm trying to find the water. So the water stream underneath the earth will have its own vibrations. So anything moving will have its own vibration, its own frequency, which will be transmitted. My body will pick up, my subconscious will pick it up. I'll make micro changes. And those micro changes will motivate the pendulum to move in certain direction. And pendulum is not the only tool. So there are many other tools that are used by the dowsers. So this is how it is. So really, we are all connected, and we have to train ourselves to use that connection to get the right answers. The concept is amazing. So the other thing that also happens is, and you probably heard, they're angels. Right? They're angels, and in the Indian system, these are called the devas, all around us. So dowsing system, which means the pendulum or whatever device I'm using, my subconscious, either my subconscious will find the answer, and sometimes these angelic beings, the devas, will also help us find the answers. And so some dowsers have that innate ability to communicate with these angelic beings. And you'll find that they are probably their effectivity is much higher than others. Okay. Hope everything is good so far. Now, what are the dowsing tools that are used? So in the olden days, they'll just pick up a twig. If you see the first image of a man here holding a twig, it's a Y-shaped twig. And what happens is, and he will be walking around to find where is underground water. And wherever the water is, that twig itself will start pointing down. It'll just move. So the same thing. So underground water stream will radiate energy, frequencies. The dowser's subconscious picks it up, makes micro changes that goes through the muscles of the body. And then the twig picks it up, the branch, and it moves. That's how it happens. So that is one tool. Then you have the L-rod. You see the next image? This is the L-rod. Can everybody see it, right? It's an L-rod here. So you can see there's a sleeve here. Let me just maybe stop sharing right now. So it's easier to see this. So this is called the L-rod. See, right? So there is a little sleeve here, and I hold it, and this thing moves. You can see this thing moves. And it responds to yes and no. This L-rod. So this is quite popular in finding the water, because it not only says yes and no. In general, the dowsing devices only answer a question yes or no. This also gives you direction. So it'll tell you water is in this direction, if you're looking for it. So that is the L rod. And I'll show you this image also. There's another one. This is called the bobber. See, there's a little spring here. There's a handle here. There's a spring, and there's a rod here. And it moves up and down. It can move horizontally. It can move in a circular motion, clockwise, anti-clockwise. So same thing with the pendulum. So the pendulum can move in this direction. It can move in this direction, back and forth. It can move in a clockwise direction, or it can move an anti-clockwise direction. So the fundamental thing in the pendulum or any of these devices is to find your yes and no. And we'll see it a bit later on. So let me go back to my slideshow. All right, so everybody, so there's a Y rod, there's the L rod, there is the pendulum that we've already seen, and there's this one here, the last one is called the bobber, the one with the spring, this one here. And actually each one has its own particular application. Okay. So let's go to discuss a practical example of if I want to find water, dowsing for water. So imagine there's a big field, and let's say you have a 5-acre farm, and you want to dig a well because you need water. You are in remote area, and there's no stream or anything nearby. So where do I dig to be successful in the first attempt? So you take this pendulum and keep rotating it. And you keep walking around the field, all over the field, and wherever this pendulum gives you a yes, you stop there. So maybe it's a good point for us to go through yes and no. So let me just stop sharing. Okay, so I'll bring up this pendulum here, my homemade pendulum. So this pendulum I got at the convention. This is the homemade one. Very simple. So the very first thing that you have in pendulum, and by the way, there will be Jeannie. She's a master dowser in Colorado. She'll be giving us a first class on dowsing on the, I think, 15th of July. So she's preparing it, and 15th July, if you come, she will sort of give a first level of training. So this one here, so the most important thing for everybody to do is once you make a pendulum, it could be, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to make out of diamonds and gold chains and all that. Any old thing works. To find out a yes and no, because pendulum only answer the question yes or no. So I will ask mentally, I just try to focus and say, please tell me what is my yes. I'm not moving it. It starts moving. So this is my yes. It's going this way. And I just say thank you. And it stops. And now I ask for no. Please tell me what is my no. See, it's moving in a different direction, up and down. So this is my no. So when I'm looking for the water, I'm using this pendulum. And I'm walking around. So the pendulum, wherever there's water underneath me, it will start swinging in yes. Say yes. I'm asking the pendulum Please tell me, is the water underneath my feet here? Is the water underneath here? Is the water underneath here? Soon as it sees, picks up the vibration, my subconscious, this will start moving. Right? Is everybody with me so far? So
Yes, thank you.
yeah, let me share again the slides. Let me say, was I? Okay, slideshow. Okay, so that's what I said in the first line. The other thing that you can do is, rather than the pendulum, use this L rod. You can stand at the edge of the field and tell this rod to point in the direction where there is a water. Right? So there will be a yes and a no in this rod. So this rod will point in the, it'll just turn around and maybe just do this. This water is there. And now you walk in that particular direction. Otherwise, if it's a big field, it's a big job to cover the entire area to find your yes. So that is a level 2. So this is how you progress in dowsing. Start with a pendulum and then go to the L rod. The third thing that you do is, after this, after you master this, you could, for example, you have a friend. So I live in Florida. I have a friend in California, and they buy a field, and they want to find out where to dig. So they asked me, Shri, can you help me find where I should dig? So what I would do is, I will take a map of his field. Right? So I just take a map on his field, and I'll douse through the map and then find out where remotely where you should dig the well. So this is how you progress. So I will use a pendulum and a map to find out the well remotely. The next level is people can do it without using a device. So do it remotely without using, or locally. Well, you do locally first without using a device. So one of the master dowsers in the convention, he said, whenever he's close to the water, or he can detect the water, his hand gets warm. The palm, center of the palm gets warm. So actually, he can stand at the edge of the field, he can move this palm around like this, and soon as the direction is right where the water is, it'll get warm. So you see, the people progress, the dowsers, they progress from one level to others. You go deeper into yourself, deeper into your own spirit, and you progress higher and higher. The next level is now to start, so not just find. So the one level is finding water. The other one is now impacting the water and moving it. So he's giving an example. One of the master dowsers, he was called by one family. They had in a farm, they had a well. It was giving water, but then it went dry. So the stream that was feeding that well, water stream, either moved out or it went dry, completed. So they asked him. So he dowsed and he found that the stream, there was another stream of water, maybe 5 or 10 feet away from the well. So he did dowsing. Again, remember, once you're connected with Mother Nature, you can talk to these are living beings. So water is a living being, the well is a living being, the wall is a living, everything is a living being. You talk to it. So he talked to the stream, and the stream moved and came to the well. And there was water in the same well. You didn't have to dig again. And of course, the final is the dowser and the universe are one. Once you get to that stage, then you can do anything. Actually, one master dowser was saying he actually moved one stream almost a mile. He's saying the maximum distance he has moved a stream is like a mile. Amazing stuff. I was just, you can believe it or you don't believe it, but the power of your connection with the universe can be so powerful, so enlightening. So there's some other applications using dowsing. Once you learn dowsing, you can find buried water pipes. So you want to dig, you want to make sure there's no buried cables in the spot. Let's say you want to plant a tree in your yard, and there could be underneath cables, underneath pipes or sprinkler pipes, or whatever. You don't want to damage them. So you can douse and find their presence. Sometimes you have a septic tank. You have bought the house, but you don't know the exact location. But it is. You can douse and find. Because if you have to get it cleaned up, etc., you have to know where exactly it is. Lost articles, which happens. You lose a ring, earring, something falls out. Where did it go? And one dowser, master dowser, he was saying he went to a get-together in a field, and one of the ladies lost her ring, and they started looking all around, and they found this master dowser, and they asked him. So he had this L rod. He took this L rod, kept dowsing. The L rod said move into this direction, and at that point said move in this direction, and moved in this direction. At one point, he stopped, and there he just saw this sunlight exactly falling the ring in such an angle. He just saw it. The sunlight was falling in the ring, and where he was standing, he could see exactly that sunlight coming out of the ring. I mean, some of these stories that tell you are amazing, amazing. So sometimes you have your car. I mean, modern cars are very different, but in older times, the car, you'd wonder, oh, did I leave my lights on at nighttime in the car? Because if you have left them on by the morning, it'll be drained, the car won't start. Did I lock the door? Sometimes you don't remember. Which restaurant I want to go to, which menu will be the best for me. People do that. Car problem, car is clanking. It's failing to start. What happened? Is the starting motor? Is the battery? What is it? Right. So that is one aspect. Right? The other one is, so those are the other ones, you use yes and no of the dowsing tool. You can go beyond it. So actually, you can take these. So these are called dowsing charts. So let me just show you. Let me just come out of this.
Здравейте.
So let me just show you. So these are called dowsing charts. So there's charts here. So what you would do is take this chart. So I'm going to put here chart, and I would use my. So this chart here, if you look closely, gives the name of all the angels. So I want to know which angel should I talk to, right? So I would use my pendulum, and I'd ask my pendulum, please tell me who is the right angel for me to talk to right now. And this pendulum will start swinging in one of them direction, right? So the pendulum will show you that this is the one. This is amazing how people have come up with these different kind of options. Do they work? I mean, I have to try. I still have to try. But there were so many people who said in this place in this convention, yes, they work. Okay, so let me go back to my slideshow here. So this is another chart here. And actually, you can make your own chart. So actually, they got us to. So if you want to, for example, you have a yard and you want to plant trees in your yard, and you have option to get 10 different trees. You could have a mango tree, you could have an avocado tree, you could have a neem tree, you could have a sapote tree, I mean, all options. So you can write the names of those trees and then dowse it and see what is the best tree for my yard here. So, well, you get the message, right? What I'm trying to say here. Okay, I'm trying to move this thing here, the chart. Okay, there it is. Okay. The other thing that you can do is, see, we have these, I talked about the aura that all of us have. So there's aura, which is really an energy field all around us. So is this aura energy field in good shape? So what do you mean by good shape? Good shape is that it is symmetric, it is balanced. There's no holes, it is smooth, continuous. There is no holes in it. So what it means is there's no blocks in it. There are no leakages in the energy. So there could be energy leaking away. Your body is carrying the energy radiating, and it's leaking away. You don't want your energy to be leaking. There could be entities attached into this aura. So from outside, different kind of entities can attach, and they can keep leaching your energy, bringing you down, negative. So you can use this L rod, and when you go through, and they showed us there, the L rod will just give you the profile of this of the aura, of the energy field around the body, and also show you where the leakages are, where the blockages are. And it was strange. I mean, so there was in this, they showed us. So they asked one of the participants to sit, close the eyes, and just a normal condition, just think what you normally think, and then they drew the energy edge of the aura. And they asked him to think of something sad, and you could see the edge shrinks. And they asked them to think of something happy, something nice, something vibrant, and you see the edge expanded considerably. So these are different kind of applications of this dowsing. Okay. Another very interesting, and I think everybody has had this situation, there are a bunch of ants in the house. I remember sometimes we'll have a long line of ants moving around the house. What do you do? So one of the master dowsers, and he is sort of specialized in this, he would go to the ants, talk to the ants. And somehow he'll connect his energy with the energy of the ants. And he'll talk to them and say, listen, and I mean, I don't want to harm you. You're here, I know you want food. I'm sure you can find it somewhere outside, because here, if I spray something, I'll kill you. It's not good for you. Can you please go away? And he says, they went away. Now, there's no dowsing tool involved. It was just connection with Mother Nature. Once you build it up, you get so much confidence. You are listening to the ants, you're listening to the trees. So this was the way you say it is very important, because words have great power. Words have great power. They also, and they asked to do this exercise, is to talk to the trees. That was another very amazing thing. But before I go to the trees ones, this is another, so one of the master dowsers, he showed us. So in the room, he put 4 piles of books, different contents. There was book of Eckhart Tolle, there were book of so many other authors. So like these 4 puzzles. And he said to the whole audience, ask me any question, and the answer of that question is somewhere in one of these books. So somebody will ask a question and they start dowsing. So first he'll ask this dowsing is a pendulum, which pile? So is the answer in the pile number 1, pile number 2, and whenever it says yes, it says okay. So there are 10 books in pile number 2. Which book from the bottom is first one, second one, third one, and let's say it is the 5th book. He says which page. He'll open the book and it says how many pages. Let's say 180 pages. And then he'll ask which page and find, let's say, 100 page. And there's 4 paragraphs in the page. And it says which paragraph. And says the second paragraph. You read the second paragraph. And he says the answer is in the second paragraph of this book. Now, sometimes I think 1 or 2 questions, there was almost like a direct answer. The other ones, you had to really interpret it. And I think it was more in terms of your own understanding, interpretation. But, well, what I'm sharing here is the applications, how you can use this. Very interesting. There's another lady, she said, and this was through the dowsing, a code of atonement. So if they're negative spirits or extreme negativities, you could probably use this code of atonement, they call. I think this comes from Christian mythology in the past, Christian practices. What the concept is, the soul of the body many times gets separated from the body. It remains outside the body, and you just have to bring it back. And then whatever is causing this pain, you resolve at the point of the origin. There was another very interesting man, Aaron Singleton. He is from Massachusetts. So he practiced dowsing, he learned, and he could attune with the Mother Nature. He says, I don't need dowsing anymore. So I was standing next to him. He just did his hands around me, and he said, oh yeah, this is your aura is imbalanced. And then he said, I mean, he could use his hands because now he has mastered his energy to connect and change the shape of my energy, and it's got moving. He said, now your aura is balanced. So really, he could use his hand as a wand or a dowsing tool. Amazing things. I don't know. Does it work or doesn't it work? I think we have to try. First thing is we have to develop our own abilities. And what he said, Aaron said, is magic is in all of us. You just have to practice it and you will get there. Now, tree hugging, and of course we were given a practical class on this. So look at the tree. Right? It has a massive root system, spread big trees. This root system goes hundreds of feet. And look at the top branches. They look like antennas. So the concept is the trees all over the world are in communication with each other through this antenna on the top, and the roots are connected to Mother Earth to that. So they have this massive communication channel and they talk to each other. So if you can connect to the tree, you can ask them any question and they'll answer it. So the very first thing you have to find, and what they call is the door of the tree. And what we did was it took a L rod, and in the mind you're saying, show me the door of the tree. So you go around the tree, and then this thing bends, points into a certain direction. So all the participants, everybody, I mean, everybody could do it. I mean, this L rod will just point at a certain point when you're going on the tree, and you go and you can, your heart, you hug the tree with your heart at that point where the door is. Very interesting. And I could see a lot of light. I mean, it was very cloudy outside, but as soon as I did that, suddenly I felt a lot of bright light flowing through my mind. So, but keep practicing it, and then you can learn. Let me before this, yeah. So that was. So this is. I'm just sharing you what bits and pieces. There's many more things that were talked about there. So just the last thing. There was one man, John Thompson, who came here, and who has very good experience in orgonites. And you remember we have talked about orgonites in the past. So these are the orgonites, and let me show you. Let me just get out of here. So I brought some orgonites with me. So there's a little this thing here, so orgonite, and you look at the different sides. There's the metallic things, there's organic stuff inside, there's crystals inside, and it's all molded together. There's another one here, which is like a pyramid shape. And these orgonites, they were invented by a German doctor, Dr. Reich, who came to the United States. And what he did was he made a big orgonite machine. And actually, this orgonite machine brought in rain.
Shri, what is this?
Orgonite. O-R-G-O-N-I-T. You see it in my slide. Let me just bring my slides back. I've written it there. Okay. So this is orgonite. You can see this here, orgonite. So at least what minimum it does is it neutralizes the effect of EMF. All this radiation all around us, which go in our body. And it also neutralizes a lot of non-beneficial energies that can affect your being. So, and people have done a lot of research on this. So even just neutralizing the EMF, it's worth having this. So I bought this. This was like $25, and I just keep it in my pocket all the time. And this one can cover a couple of 100 feet. So put in a central place in the house, and it should be able to neutralize the effect of EMF in that area. Okay, I'm trying to move the slides now.
Who is the doctor you mentioned?
No, this was John Thompson. It was not a doctor. He's the one who brought this.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so I guess.
Shri, didn't you say it was from Reich? Do you mean the psychiatrist or psychologist, whatever he was? Dr. Reich?
Oh yeah, Dr. Reich, the German. Yeah, he's the one. He was, I'm not sure what he was, but he was an apprentice with Sigmund Freud. And they did a lot of research, but he came here to United States. And he lived in, I think, Maine area, Maine and Boston, that area.
Yeah,
it's documented. I mean, there's people here probably know more about this than I do.
yeah. I just put a link in the chat for a brief documentary on Reich that's on YouTube, and fascinating work. Reich was pulling energy out of the atmosphere the same way that Tesla was, and ultimately it cost him his freedom and his life. So I think actually at the conference, Shri, they had an orgone accumulator there, where you can actually go into this box, and the box actually pulls in all the energy from the surrounding area. And Reich was using that to cure cancers. Something very simple, not easy, but simple to make, that everybody can build. And ultimately, Reich was selling these machines or these boxes, and the powers that be that came down on him, and that's what they used to put him in jail. And a year or 2 years later, he was dead. And all of his books, by the way, were burned. So there's a story.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But people have picked it up now. So I think this is all I wanted to share today. But thank you. That was Damon, right? Speaking.
Yeah, I just want to say, Shri, back in April, I mean, I've been attracted to dowsing and wanted to learn it for some time.
Mhm.
And I kept running into dowsers at different conventions and things of that nature. I've been on their mailing list, and there was a Zoom call with a Dr. Michelle Peel, and she spoke at the conference. She was the
Keynote speaker. Yeah.
And so I was on a Zoom call with her, and as soon as I got off the call, I realized I got to have more information on this. So I wrote her and asked her when she was going to be teaching again, and she says, "Well, I'm teaching in about 2 weeks in Wisconsin, and I don't have anything else scheduled for the rest of the year." So as hard as it was to do, I flew to Wisconsin, to Chicago, drove to Wisconsin, and the 2 days with her literally changed my life. I'm going to put a link in the chat of a copy of that Zoom. She will be teaching a class on dowsing and cosmic clearing in, I believe, October in Miami, in the South Florida area. She is somebody that does communicate to the angels and is able to actually download these, I don't want to call them frequencies, what she calls reagents, that actually can clear different things in the body, different illnesses, different pathologies. And as it pertains to this group, one of the things she always says, and she's a naturopath as well, is that all disease are power problems. So every disease is caused by insufficient power or energy within the body. And it kind of goes back to a lot of the work that we do here with Panalajan is opening up those pathways to have the body be able to communicate and move energy through it. Fabulous work. Shri, I understand why you're as excited in finding this work. And it's work that you can use without, people are all excited about AI. Don't be excited about AI. Be excited about dowsing. And
About
it's
yourself.
about
Yeah,
yourself,
exactly.
about your ability to tap into this well of this mass of information. And everybody has the ability, and you have it at your fingertips right now. And I would just say, if anything, if this something attracts you to this, go after it. I practice all the time now. I go to the produce market, and I'm going through up and down the aisle, and I'm dowsing, going, okay, what does my body want? And I see things that I always like, and I go up to it, and the dowse or the pendulum says, no, you don't want that. You want this. And it will give me everything I need to buy at that time. And my health is much improved because of it. So that's just an example of it. You could be in a toxic relationship. Is this person good for me? Show me yes, show me no. Or should I go out and do this? And it's just a different way of tapping in. And as you said, Shri, people are able to elevate that ability from a simple pendulum to things they do with their hands, they do without whatever, or just tapping into what some people would call the Holy Spirit. And it's truly what we as humans, what makes us unique in a different way. And at the same time, it's a power that you want to always be able to tap into. So all those questions that you may have, the answers are there.
Absolutely. What you said, Damien, was so correct. And you know, the environment there among these master dowsers, it was so positive. The energy was so elevated. The way they would talk, they would respond. It was so loving. I mean, I was just amazed. I mean, I've been to hundreds of conferences at my age and conventions and gatherings, and I mean, the kind of stuff that I felt there, I just said, amazing. These must be very elevated souls.
And the funny thing is, a lot of them, they're farmers.
Yeah, simple people. They're simple people.
And wait, and did you get a chance to take any of the radionics classes?
No, there was no radio. There was nothing.
Oh yeah,
there.
they were there. They were there. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but they talked about other things, not really radionics. They were radionic experts there. Yeah.
Well, there is a part of it will go into radionics, and as you would say, these people, a lot of them work with farmers, so they might go out into a field, or maybe there's a lake or something where there's a lot of fish being produced, or crawfish, and they can assess maybe there's not enough oxygen in the water, or there's not enough whatever pH in the soil, and they can actually move that in a positive direction so that the farmer increases their yield. And this is what's going on in different parts of the country today. They're actually doing these things to enable better crop yields, from whether it's crayfish to growing hemp or whatever it may be. So these things are there, and these people are leading this jump in consciousness that's happening across the planet. They're part of this movement, and all I'll say is, folks, jump on. It's fabulous work.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Does anybody else have any questions, any query, any comment?
Actually, Shri, it's Judith.
Yes.
I thought it was really interesting, and I noticed that one of the slides that you showed with the where it pointed to different things, it showed body parts, and I wondered what that was about. It showed like eyes, ears, nose.
Well, so you have, for example, there's different meridians, different parts of the body. And let's assume you're doing Paida, right? So which part of the body should I do Paida first? And you can douse it. And your dowsing will tell you, hey, start with your head first. So there are many things you can do, and it is really amazing. But really the key is being in resonance with the universe. This is where we have to progress. That oneness, you can call it divinity, you can call it Mother Nature, whatever you like. So that's what, and what happens, this becomes like a discipline. When you're dowsing, you have to focus, you have to think. And once you start seeing better and better results, and then your mind will start changing, because now you started talking, you start listening, objects will start communicating with you. It's amazing. Just one thing I wanted to mention, organize, and this is what I think Siren had said in one of the meetings. So the rains that happen in California, the massive rains, and in Arizona, that was because of these organites. They made these cylindrical organites, and then they buried in the grounds all over the states. And organite has the power. I don't know the theory and science behind it, whatever it is, to attract rain, and that's what has caused this massive amount of rain.
Yeah, I just want to say, Shri, with the body parts, you can, as you said, you can figure out where you want to Paida with that. Once you get good, you can actually look at a body part, connect with somebody across the country, and figure out where they need to work on themselves.
Absolutely.
back, shoulder,
Yep.
whatever. And it is uncanny. I mean, it is 95% accurate, 98% accurate, what it will tell you that the person needs to do. So there were actually, and if anybody wants some information, I'll be more than happy to pass it on. There are people that actually do this professionally. They'll connect with you, and they'll read your body, and they'll say, okay, you got an issue with this, you got an issue with that, and then they'll start to work with you to alleviate those problems. And there's scores of them across the country, you know. So whether it's a back issue, a liver problem, or even, as you said earlier, Shri, it could be issues with dark angels, or something that a person's having to deal with for most of their life from a bad experience. So it could be a number of different things.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So that's,
most of the master dowsers in this convention, this is how they make the living. This is their job. Yeah. And it was, well, for me, it was an eye opener and very, very interesting thing.
Can I
So,
ask, sorry, Shri, can I ask you something? Before you start the dowsing, did you do a sort of a meditation or anything like, or concentration, or how do you prepare yourself, or don't you need to?
not really, they didn't say that, but I think your mind really goes into a meditative mode when you're dowsing, because you really want to have, to increase your effectiveness, your accuracy. The more your mind is concentrated on just one thought, which is the water here? Is the water here? Is the water here? Yeah, tell me yes, if the water is here. Tell me yes, if the water is here. That's all you want to think. Or if you lost your ring, you just say, it's the ring here. Tell me whether this is all you're thinking.
Okay, thank you.
Your resonance increases, but you are really sort of a meditative mood. And once you get elevated, you have that power now. You've acquired that. Your mind has acquired that connection with the universe.
Very interesting.
It's very interesting. The tool itself, I mean, this if you hang it on a on a nail, and you ask it to tell me yes, it won't move. Nothing will happen. This tool has no power. It won't move, right? You ask it to say anything, it won't move, right? You can.
So
But
if I make,
with your hand and fingers, it will move. It's amazing. The right, yeah.
so also I wanted to share something that if you don't
Sure.
have pendulum, you could use your own body. I think a few months ago we talked about this. You could be standing and you could ask yourself a question, and your body will move either forward or side to side, or you could be sitting at a meditation position and ask yourself questions, for example, that you know for sure. Do I live in the United States? Yes. Is my name such and such? Yes. And then just to sort of build that ability, then you ask a question, and if the answer is yes, you'll still move forward. But if it's no, you'll go back and forth. I had a client, a new client, she came to me and she said she found me because she did this. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She said she went through the list of the hairstylist. Should I go to so-and-so? And her body would go left and right, left, you know. And as soon as she said my name, it went yes, and that's how she selected me, which I thought it was pretty interesting. And then last week, I went and I got a 1 hour of Reiki, and the esthetician, she put a pendulum on my stomach, on my throat, and it was just still. It would not move. After an hour of her the pendulum was just going in circle, like you couldn't even stop it. So meaning that at the beginning, my body didn't have energy in that area. Once when she did the Reiki, the energy was just there. And I thought that was just amazing.
Thanks for sharing. That is true. That is the muscle testing. Yeah, and there's so many. Your own body, you can use as a tool. There's and people use these things they showed me, and they use this, and this energy changes. Or you can use your hand, press it up and down. There's millions of ways people use this. You're right. The body is one of the common stuffs that people use. Yeah, so thank you.
I'd like to add something about
Sure.
it makes me think I'm using it all the time, every day. And that's biogeometry, those type of pendulum.
Yes.
Have you heard about Ibrahim Karim?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
he's speaking very well about all this. I mean, could speak hours about it.
So
Like
these are healing pendulums, right, Laya? These are healing pendulums, right?
No. Like for instance, this one is just connected. It's connected with me. I mean, you just to find, like I'm using it if I want to take some medicine, it's good or not, it's good or not. And I don't even have to say yes or no. It's just in complete harmony with me. And then there are bijouteries, that's is bringing energy. But I mean, he has so many, and he explains this so well. I mean,
Yes.
it's fantastic. It's just a world. Beautiful. Anyway,
Thank you.
that was
Thank you, Laya. I know in Europe it is called radiesthesia, right? That's what it's called, rather than dowsing. Radiesthesia.
Dowsing is radiesthesia. Yeah, sure.
That's what in France, right? In Europe, yeah, radiesthesia. It's the same thing. What you call there radiesthesia. US is dowsing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
In Europe, Shri, and particularly in the biological medical clinics in Switzerland and Germany, all the doctors douse. They all have pendulums in their pocket.
Wow.
And these are places where they're very, very exclusive. They cure cancers without drugs and chemo and all those types of things, and cost tens of thousands of dollars to attend or whatever. They all douse. They all douse.
Find the right medication to find the right medication.
Yeah, and in fact, when a person goes to study with them or to shadow them or to do an internship, they're expected to bring a pendulum and know how to dowse as well. So
Wow.
it just keeps getting deeper.
Yeah. No, this is amazing. Yeah, this is amazing. Well, our hour is over. So I think we can stop recording now, Helen. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for attending. This was good. This was good. And of course, we meet every day, so we can discuss more if you want to later on.
If anybody's interested, I linked Dr. Peel's Zoom call in the chat, and it will just continue with what Shri's started today, and she'll be teaching in Florida, as I said, in October. There also is another dowsing convention, which is from a different group of dowsers. That will be taking place, I believe, in October as well in Arizona, but it's another group. So Shri, you went to the right one.
It was a good one.
The other one's good too, but you went to the one that I would go to. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yes, please post that. Please post the thing that you mentioned about the woman.
Yeah, so it's in the
Michelle Peel.
Thank you.
Yeah. She's a great lady.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Fantastic.
So thank you. Yeah. So Helen, if you can stop recording.